They say that men don't talk, but they are so wrong. Join me, Noel Professor Richards, and my co-host Huey Coffey every Monday at 6:30 p.m. for Men Talk. We talk about how to live, how to love, and how to lead. So join with us as we talk about everything that men talk about on Men Talk. Mondays, 6:30 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM, The Promise.
You can now see the Men Talk team live on Facebook at Isaac the Promise and YouTube on FBN TV. Sponsored by Dr. Anaya Tony, the Feet Lady at Anaya Health and Wellness Center. Call 360-5166 or 478-7416.
Our kids have been and are online, but where are they truly? Let's explore this with inspirational and motivational speaker and author Don Foucade. He's our guest on Men Talk, Monday 1st November at 6:30 p.m. You're invited to join me, Noel Professor Richards, my co-host Huey Coffey, George, and Don Foucade. It's Men Talk on Isaac 98.1 FM, FBN TV, and Isaac the Promise Facebook. Men, let's talk.
You can now see the Men Talk team live on Facebook at Isaac the Promise and YouTube on FBN TV. Sponsored by Dr. Anaya Tony, the Feet Lady at Anaya Health and Wellness Center. Call 360-5166 or 478-7416.
Well, good evening and welcome to Men Talk on Isaac 98.1 FM, The Promise. That's our FM band. And of course, we are also on Facebook at Isaac The Promise and our YouTube channel, FBN TV, if you want to see as well as listen to what is going on. Men Talk, if you don't know, is a time and a space that we've created for men every Monday at 6:30 p.m. 1 hour where men talk. Men get together. We don't go in a bar. We don't go in a rum shop. We don't go anywhere. We stay right where we are. Log on to the radio and we talk. Talk about issues that affect men. Purpose of the program is to really encourage men, to teach men what it is to be a man, a good husband, a good father, a good son, good brother, good boyfriend, good grandfather, a good meal. And that's what the program is about. We talk about issues that men talk about, and we talk about it from a male perspective. Ladies, you are also part of the program. We have many, many ladies who are part of this program. But we want you to know, just in case you're new ladies and you're listening, because the program is Men Talk and we are encouraging the men to talk, and it's also an interactive program where the listener, whoever is listening, gets an opportunity to ask a question, make a comment. We are asking you ladies that when we do open up the lines, please do not call in. Encourage the men around you to call. If you have a question and there's a male nearby, you can ask him to call and ask your question or make your comment. Ladies, however, you can interact with us. We have a WhatsApp number, and I'll give it to you straight away, 275-1981, 275-1981. Ladies, you can interact with us by sending us a text message, not a voice note, a text message to that number, 275-1981, and we'll be sure to address your concerns or answer your question. But we ask you not to call. But men, we want you to call in when we open up the lines to take your calls. My co-host Huey Coffey is not here today. He has the evening off, but George is here. So let me just say welcome, George. George, good evening and welcome.
Hi, good evening, Professor. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. It is definitely a pleasure to be here once again on a Monday evening for Men Talk.
Good to have you here, George. And we have our guest, no stranger really to Isaac 98 or no stranger to Men Talk. He's been here before. He's an inspirational and motivational speaker, and he's also an author. And, there are many, I'm sure there are other things that we could put after his name, but we only have 1 hour, so we'll leave it at there for now. Mr. Don Foucade, good evening and welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, man. Glad to be on Men Talk. Hello, George. Hello, everybody. Radio Land. Glad to be on Men Talk, man. Men Talk. So
yeah, man.
Men Talk, man. Let's talk.
Let the men talk. Let the men talk. Yes. So it's good to have you here this evening with us, Don. And the topic that we are discussing concerns what has happened. In fact, a lot has changed in, 2 years, 2020, just about 2 years, almost 2 years. A lot has changed with the advent of this pandemic, this global pandemic called COVID-19. And we have shifted from physical to virtual in a number of areas. Even people are working from home, people are, going to church from home, and children are going to school from home. And so we're going to be talking this evening about the children. They are more online now than they ever were before. I remember when I was growing up, when I started, I had something called a slate. I don't know if you know what that is, but I had a slate where we used to write on. Most people don't know about that because that was way, way back then. Now, but it resembled a tablet, and the only thing it wasn't virtual, you had to write on it. Now children have tablets, they have cell phones, they have the computer, they have laptops, they have everything. And, they are doing their own thing, and they have many instances have gone way ahead of the adults, because a lot of adults don't even know how to access the internet. So the children have gone on. So we want to talk about that this evening. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Don, to lead off the conversation this evening.
Wow. Well, every revelation has a genesis. And let me say again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. And George, thank you as well too. Right now, we have thousands of young people who in nowhere. Let me just tell you, they're all over the place. Mm-hmm. This year, I had the opportunity to be either part of the problem or part of the solution. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity, sponsored by Republic Bank, to do a tour. This was my first virtual tour of secondary schools. So I just had 2 months and I did 6-day Zooms in 2 months. 6-day Zooms in 2 months. And that covered factually only 25 schools, but also 5,500 children.
Wow.
And I learned a lot from the young people as to where they are now. And I just wanted to spare thought for young people. And I just want maybe to just talk about the introvert. You could imagine the introvert who is in class, now being forced for 2 years or so to go into a virtual space, and then have to learn to be able to be educated in that space. So the extrovert has now become an introvert. I don't know what the introvert has now become. And let me just tell you, there are thousands of young people, this in school online learning, while it still can be a great thing, for them is one of the most horrible things, because they're home and people at home and they feel still all alone. So right now I can tell you that there are thousands of young people, especially of them now in 1s, 2s, and 3s, because the 4s, 5s, and 6s have just the other day have been allowed back in school. Mm-hmm. But let's spare thought to where are they now? Where are they now in their minds? And the kids sometimes have a notion, the youngsters have a notion of nobody cares. Nobody cares, nobody's listening, nobody cares. And sadly, whilst that is not true, that's their reality. And to them, whatever is their reality, that's what they bring out to us in the real world. Mm-hmm. So I, gentlemen, I'm so happy to be here to talk about this topic, which is passionate to me. I met a lot of youngsters who were able to cry on the Zoom and tell me, sir, nobody is thinking about us. We are lost. And then because sometimes we're not even seeing the teacher, sometimes the teacher not seeing us, we're embarrassed. We don't want people to see what our home look like. And so you could imagine where they are now. And what that translates all into is that there's a loss of hope by thousands of our young people. I know somebody will probably be able to put the accurate figure, but you could imagine how far back have we gone in terms of education? How far back? Even the students, I was mentioning to some teachers, if you think that you can just bring students back now, they haven't seen their friends, just bring them back, and it's chalk and talk. Listen to me, you have to walk, because it's not chalk and talk again. You have to bring them back in a space for them to learn to socialize again, to socialize and to take information from a teacher. So gentlemen, I'll pause for a cause, not just because, but I think you're hearing my passion about young people and where are they now.
Yeah, indeed. But the thing is, even bringing them back out and to re-socialize them, it is not the same as before. They can't be socialized the same way, because where before they were running, let's talk about the younger ones, they were running and playing with their friends and playing cricket and football and all these sports, and even in class they would sit next to one another and that sort of thing. That can't happen anymore. So they've come from the virtual world into another world that is almost virtual too, because there's this separation now, the physical distancing, and that's a challenge. That would be a challenge for them. Well, for those who have to go back out to school, that's the Form 1s and 2s and the primary school students, but even the Form 4s, 5s, and 6, it's different for them. They no longer can connect in the way that they connected before. I remember just a couple of days ago, my son went back out to school. He's in Form 4. And I mean, his mother gave him a lecture from the night before and in the morning, and then he's going and she's telling him what to do and stay away and wash your hands and sanitize. I mean, he had to walk with a whole extra set of things, sanitization, the sanitizer and the wipes and everything else and a soap and everything. So they have to be concerned now about what they're doing. So whereas before it would be free, they're not free anymore. They're not free anymore. And that's one of the challenges that they face as they go back out to school.
Yeah. And I don't know if George wants to say anything before I jump in again, but George wants to say anything?
Well, absolutely. And the thing about it is that, I think of my school days, which, to allude to you, Professor, I also used a slate in school. So
really? Okay.
Yes, it was.
Not that old then. Okay, all right.
Yes. When I made the transition from secondary school, I did some time in university at UTT there for a little bit. One of the things that they required for the tertiary level of education was group projects, and for group projects there was a need to interact with one another, and that called for a certain level of social skill. And right now, these young people are going to be severely challenged where social skills are concerned and where that social balance is concerned. As Professor correctly said, they're not even going to be able to have a proper balance of an education where they get into physical exercise and physical competition and that sort of thing. So, where does that really leave the young people in this day and age with their progress into adulthood? It's really a challenging time for them.
Yeah, and really, really challenging, George, because, we ask the question, where are they now? But we have to ask ourselves as well, where were they before? if the places they were before were not the right places, you can imagine how much more relevant and how much more urgent the answer to that question, where are they now? And there's a premise that I when I start the presentation, it's very simple. I love words, and they call me the word guy. But I always tell them, let's try to make 2 words out of nowhere, because this pandemic, this situation can make one feel nowhere. And I tell them, you translate nowhere into now here. The only way nowhere becomes now here is there's a pause between the now and the here. So when we pause, we have to pause for a cause, not just because. We have to pause and really study, where are we now? Where are you now? Where is the situation? Does it mean that you still don't have a purpose and a plan for your life? Does it mean that all hope is lost? And you have to really break it down for them, because now, especially that they're feeling, those who are supposed to care for them the most, you could imagine when the family is dysfunctional. You could imagine how dysfunctional this child is now. Yeah. And you expect them to function. I mean, sadly, there's still a notion from after interacting with close to 200,000 young people in the last 20 years. There's still a notion that if I don't turn out to be a doctor, if I don't turn out to be a lawyer, I'm a nobody. Now, of course, that's not true. But when you have these untruths being somebody, or they feel that's their reality, you can imagine where are they now? Yeah. So this is a very, very serious topic. I mean, if there's those who are listening to us, if you could mentor, listen to me, everybody needs to have a mentor and a mentee. Let me say again, everybody needs to have a mentor and a mentee. Somebody who you look up to and somebody who's looking up to you. And we have to give them something to look up to. And if you're listening to me, let me just jump in very quickly and say you need to maybe it may not be your biological child, right? But you have to find somebody to ask them, where are they? Because conversation has gone. And George, I want to touch on something you said, and I'll put it in a quotation. For there to be true impact, there must be contact. When you're talking about the group projects, for there to be true impact, if I have to really feel you, I have to see you, I have to know that you're there, know that they're out in this virtual space. So those who are getting in trouble on the internet, that's a whole different discussion. Those who are going on online, I mean, I had to stop a youngster, a female, a couple of weeks ago. She said, look, I just give up. I just give up. I just give up. I just put myself outside there because I don't know what else to do. I'm bored. and online, so I might as well use everything they have online, which is not the right thing to do, but we have to correct them. And we adults, we who care, have to really get out there now and say, listen to me. We could talk the talk, we could walk the talk. You know, after a while, men talk have to become men walk, because men can't just talk alone. Men have to walk the walk too, walk the talk. So really and truly, we have to find our youngsters, those online, because they need people to interact with them. You all wouldn't believe this. You think students can't concentrate? I have been able to keep them on the Zooms for 2 hours and they don't want to go. You try and log in back on. Now, Professor, to be able to do that, mind you, you know by now I had to get a little Zoom right. You know, Zoom, time to hello, vroom, time for the Zoom. Don't even go and pick up a mop or a broom. Listen to me, you have to be planted before you bloom. If you take out the air, you go boom, shakalak. You must have a little something to give them inside of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't want them end up in the tomb. You understand? Right.
Yeah, never talking about. I know you're on cue, you know what I mean? Yourself and George, I don't call by the way, yourself and George, I want to refer to you all as the Slaters, eh? You should all that afterwards. But listen to me.
So wait, hold up. So you never use a slate?
No, I am. It was probably wrong, but I refuse.
Very well, sir. Very well. Folks, we just want to let you know you're listening to Men Talk on Isaac 98.1 FM. Our guest, Don Foucade, and we have George. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey, David, what you now, boy? How you looking sprightly so? Just the other day you complaining to me about back pain, chest pain, your foot swell up, circulation, all kind of thing. What you take for that, boy?
Jamal, boy, I went by the feet lady, and not just me. I carry the family too. Boy, the family I straight arthritis, kidney problem, diabetes, circulation, acid reflux. You call all of them just now. I had a pinch nerve too, and a cousin with lupus. And boy, the feet lady help you with all of that. And Naya Tony, boy, she's no joke. She even helping you if you had a stroke. Call she today, boy. Don't make joke. Call Anaya Tony, the feet lady of reflexology, today at 478-7416.
And we say thank you to Ayana Tony and Reflexology, the fit lady, for sponsoring the program today. So we continue with our guests, Don Foucade and George. And so where are they now? You know, you're talking about that, and you said a lot of kids are lost. They don't know where they are. Are they supposed to find their way back? Are we supposed to go find them? And if so, how are we going to do that? Because we are also in an era, Don, where adults, this is uncharted waters for us as well. So, you know, who's going to help our kids? You said you have been doing that, but you're one in how many? I don't know. And you may know which direction to take, but the rest of us may not know how to help them.
Yeah. Well, that's a fantastic question. So first of all, too, the teachers who would normally teach the students, the teachers. Some of the teachers have struggled to come online and to be online. Let's face it, for whether it's a technical issue or whether it is that it was not a competency in terms for them, but they've had to realign and adjust themselves. And even for some of them, it's still a challenge. There's some who would happily say, I would stay at home. I'm glad to teach from home, this online teaching. I don't want to go back in school, COVID or not. I want to stay home. And there's some who say, look, I really want to get back into the physical classroom. So the teachers need to be part of the conversation, and the body responsible for the teachers, primarily the Ministry of Education in Trinidad and the Division of Education in Tobago, needs to be online. And there's something that we have to come to terms with. Sometimes we think we know and we don't know. Let me say it again. Sometimes we think we know and we don't know. And when we don't know, we have to be willing to say that we don't know. Because this requires all of the stakeholders to get together and come up with some solutions. I may try to bring a solution in a motivational, inspirational way, but of course, they're still expected to get their academics and so on. We have to make the learning interesting. And once you keep, from my experience, and the man with an argument can always is at the mercy of a man with an experience. And my experience has taught me that once you show the kids, even online, you can show them that you care. For example, a simple tool that I use on the Zoom, there's a chat. And I have to keep the order in the Zoom, I have the kids respond to me in the chat. And I give away prizes and so on. They have to, I kind of monitor one through one. I have somebody assisting me at times to monitor the chat, and they engage. You see what happens? We engage in them. And once they feel engaged, just stay quiet to hear what information comes after. I have them taking notes and reading all the notes. So the online classes if that is what we have for the time being, at least for the 1s, 2s, and 3s, we have to be as extremely interactive. Sometimes you have to use a lot of animation. You can't just talk and let them look at you and your bald head. No, you have to you have to put up nice images. You have to put things that they could relate to. You see, if we have to get anybody to change, Georgia and Professor, we have to go and meet them where they are. We don't have to do what they're doing, but we have to meet them where they are, and we can show them and look, and then try to understand how they are seeing it. And once I let them know I understand how you see it, this thing is supposed to be, and a simple thing, I start off with becoming the Zoom, after doing my little poems and so, asking you, right, asking them, what does it feel to be like to be away from school for more than a year? So first of all, and parents listening, you have to engage them, get them to say where they are. And once they trust you, they're going to be very real, very hurting. Sir, I've had the comments from two extremes. Sir, I love it. So I hate it. I absolutely hate this thing. Right? And then you take them from the nowhere to the now here. And you have to remind them now that they still have a future. And life is not what happens to you, but what you choose to do about it. A bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you forget to make the turn. And they say, well, that's making a little sense. That's making a little sense. Hold my hand a little bit. And there's a little hand holding. Imagine that, hand holding in a virtual space. I know they might wonder, the Ministry of Health might wonder, but your hand holding in a virtual space. And that's what they need. They need to know that somebody is willing to still keep a hope and still know that you have a future and you still have things that you go. This pandemic may not last forever, right? But we still have the things that we have to accomplish. Where did your goals go to? You still have goals. Let's talk about those goals. Remind them of their goals. I forget, I could have a goal. So you see, you have to find, there are two approaches, George. And to put the answer very short to your question, is that we can be reactive or we can be creative. Reactive and creative, they have the same letters. Many people, because of a pandemic, just go into a reactive realm when we have to get into a creative realm. We have to find a way to reach our young people. Suicide is sadly on the up. There are many of them who have written me, private message me, sir, I am suicidal. Sir, I am suicidal. And we can't leave them there too. Can't leave them there, Professor.
Indeed, indeed. One of the problems, though, George, just 1 second, please, George. One of the issues, though, is that you're saying that the teachers have to more or less be there for them, challenge them, make them feel special. But the teachers themselves are some of the teachers are having problems. You mentioned that some of them may not have had the skill. They're not able to do the adjustment to the virtual space as they should have. So part of the problem is the teachers themselves, those who are supposed to give the comfort and give the guidance, they themselves need that. And I'm wondering if we have paid enough emphasis on getting our teachers ready, getting our teachers equipped to deal with this new normal, because you can't give what you don't have. And if you yourself feeling, like you're nowhere, how can you bring people to somewhere? Yeah. So, and that's part of the challenge. George, you wanted to say something?
Yes. Now the thing is, I would also add to what you're saying, Professor, because what I'm seeing here is that all resources that are available are not being utilized. And when we talk of creativity, this is what we need to do: employ all resources to be able to achieve the objective. Many people are looking at it from the perspective of the onus being on the teacher. However, there is the other side of the coin, the parent's duty, where the children are concerned. And if we could actually get that divide between teacher and parent, get that gap closed, where the parents are supportive of what the teacher is doing, supportive of what the child is supposed to be doing, and we get parents involved together with teachers, we can get through this. You see, there are too many parents that are saying to themselves, well, I'm not tech savvy, I don't know anything about technology. It is your duty to be able to find a way to make yourself available for your child on all levels. And if it takes you getting tech savvy to do that, that is what needs to be done. A relationship needs to be consistently developed between teacher and parent to facilitate this change for students. It is difficult for us as adults to adjust to what is going on. But we need to place ourselves outside of our shoes into the pathway of these children and understand how colossally difficult it is for them to be able to come to terms with this adjustment. And we are supposed to be that bridge to help them get over this onto where they need to go.
So that's also true. And let me just add, I've had the pleasure, because of the way I've been able to engage the students and the teachers witnessing that, they've asked me to do a couple professional days with some of the schools, with the teachers. Mm-hmm. And they say at the end of it, thank you for bringing that spark back inside of us, because you kind of help us remind us of our purpose. You still have to teach whether it's online or not. So I have to say it is now, I mean, the growth is organic. It's going from one thing to the students to now, they're now inviting me for PTA meetings, mm-hmm. which is really, really lovely. But it's all the stakeholders, as you guys have mentioned, all the stakeholders. The parent is an essential part of it. And just saying that I'm not tech savvy is certainly not good enough, because your child is hurting. Your child is hurting. And what it really does, it opens up a new opportunity. Right? In this crisis, it opens up a new opportunity to build new relationships, new communication skills, new relationships with the youngsters at home. And that's what the youngsters have been asking all along. You know how hard it is. The child had nobody talk with them before. The child going on their own way. The child come home and nobody talking with you. Mm-hmm. So where's the communication now? And then the child left with these things in their mind that they're not true now. And of course, you know what I mean? All sorts of negative thoughts start to run in and make the kids feel less than. And then they go and they do things that they know that they should not be doing. Mm-hmm. So it really requires all the stakeholders. I think the Ministry of Education as well. I did a report and I sent it to them to show that the kids can be engaged, you know. But the Ministry of Education has to do some studies, bring whichever technocrats or whoever they want to use. But get involved to realize that these kids, if we are mandating that they have to be online, to study online, we have to make the online experience the best possible experience it can be for our young people. The more we leave our young people to hurt, the more they perceive that nobody cares. A mirror will always reflect what is put in front of it. When society is not putting the right things from all the stakeholders in front of our young people, what we get with them at times is what is now being reflected. And we all throw up our hands and say, oh gosh, how did that happen? It didn't happen just so. It didn't happen just so. We can get through this together. It's very important we get through this together. And we have to, the school has to be part of it. Their kids now, I mean, just leaving an assignment, you can imagine the kids that the teachers say, here what, we're going back in school, we ain't doing the two online thing. We ain't have the technology, we ain't have the patience to be both online and in school. We're just going to focus on the kids in school. Mm-hmm. Where are the kids outside there? Mm-hmm. That's a question. And what can we each do about it?
6:58 and a half is the time. You're listening to Man Talk on Isaac 98.1 FM, The Promise. My name is Noel Richards, a.k.a. The Professor. With me this evening is our special guest, Don Foucade, and we also have George, our regular here. Hiwi Cafe is not here today. And we are talking about the new normal and where are our children? Where are they now? In this virtual space, some of them seem to be lost. And I want to ask Don that question. Do you think that teachers know? You know, if you're in a class and you're in a physical space, you can tell if something is going on. As a teacher, you should be able to tell if something is going on with a student, or something is going on at home, or something is not right. You know, you might be able to tell based on their behavior and their facial expression or their interaction in class. But when you're in a virtual space, do you think teachers are able to tell? Because you are saying that there are a lot of young people that are hurting and there are a lot of young people that are suicidal. But are teachers able to tell that in a virtual space? And do you think the parents as well know, those people who have been talking to you, do their parents know that they feel this way? Are parents aware that the children are hurting? Don.
Yeah, fantastic question. You could imagine, George and Professor, where a youngster, his or her camera, the camera is off. So the teacher there now they have a certain lesson that they want to get across and they're pushing this lesson. And you could imagine now the child just logs on and then you think the child is off because there's no engagement. So the children now, you have to start calling their names. You have to say, okay, your camera so-and-so, your name may not be, your face may not be on, whatever the reason, your camera may not be working. but certainly at least typing in the chat if you say your microphone not working as well too. So sometimes they tell you it's both camera and your mic not working. But some might be an excuse, some is the truth. But you could get them at least to type, hello, your finger's still working, your brain's still working. Where are you now? How about sending this out to a little private message and tell me what's going on with you? What didn't you understand? What can I do for you? And you have to go a little extra. We want these kids to put out extra. The teachers, the educators have to come out and do a little extra. We really have to, money can't pay for that. You have to come out and do extra. I'm trying to do a little extra to reach them. And the parents, some of them don't know. There's no communication. Your child, you never custom talking anything with your child, any kind of inverted commas, thing that makes them feel comfortable to come to you. So now that they're struggling, you think they're going to come to you? No, they're not going to come to you. What they do is they go up on the net. I don't know the name of all the programs, but they go up on the net and what they find now is this new thing called challenge. Hello, somebody always have a challenge, some kind of weird challenge. The challenge is to do this and do that and do the other. And the kids now, they're getting idle and they're taking up this challenge. When we have to challenge ourselves to get out of our comfort zone. You see, there are 4 zones. There's comfort, there's fear, there's learning and growth. Comfort, fear, learning and growth. And we have to be willing to come out of our comfort zones. Teachers have to be willing to come out of their comfort zones. I didn't know, you all don't laugh at me, but please don't. I didn't know the word Zoom before. I know some people said they were aware of it, but I tell you the truth, I didn't know anything about Zoom. But guess what? How could I make an excuse as a speaker and tell people that don't know about Zoom, don't even talk about Teams, don't even talk about listening? I have to learn it. I have to learn how to share my screen. I have to get a little comfortable. Yes. It's easy to sit down in front of a computer screen for 2 hours and chat with young people, but I'm learning to do it. And we have to come out of our comfort zones. We have to come out and we have to put ourselves, somebody said it here, but we have to put ourselves in their shoes, be able to walk on their path. We have to think about our youngsters. If this evening is bringing a little alarm bell in somebody's head, where are our youngsters? What about the youngsters that you have? If, it influences when you reach exceed your grasp. The influence that you have, what can you do? Some parent, educator, somebody, what can I do to reach out to young people? Sometimes it might mean Professor and George, doing a Zoom on a Saturday, just to talk about where are we? How did you feel about this week's work? How did you feel about it? Was that subject hard? And any students would like to help another student? You're showing them how they could be constructive and not destructive online. You could do some constructive things. It requires, again, so eloquently said George, the creativity. We have to be creative and we have to all get on board. We can't let our young people fall off. Yeah. You know how many students they say have gone out of the system already? They can't find them because there's no, the parents, there's no Wi-Fi in the home and whatever. Where are those students now? Where are the students who drop out of the school system? When school call back, where are they now?
Yeah, indeed. And another thing as well is the parents really have to be accurate with what is going on, in the sense that I have three boys at home in school. Only one is just going back out. He's in Form 4. But, sometimes you think they're in class, you're here in the class, but they're playing games. They have another screen and it's not fully up because you're looking and you're seeing the class. All right, but you don't know what is going on, and you have to pay attention. You have to come and see, and perhaps just sit in. Now I have 3 of them, 3 of them, and so you have to go from one to the next because you have to ensure that they are where they're supposed to be, and they're in school. But these young people are very smart. And they could go all over the world, and you think they're in the class and they're all over the world. They're chatting with their friends, they're playing games with their friends and that sort of thing. Now parents might get frustrated with having to do all of that. Some parents, fortunately for me, I don't work 8 to 4 anymore, so I could be around. My wife is not employed, so she could be around. But there are some parents who have to go to work, and they have to go and leave the children home. And trust that they stay in class, but it's not happening. So that's another challenge for parents, where you don't know what's going on. You don't know we're talking about where are your children. You don't know because you are busy doing what you have to do, and you're thinking and trusting. In physical classes, they're in school. Well, most of the time, they're in school, but because you drop them off. But when you leave them home to go to school, you don't know. You don't know if they're there. And that's another challenge for parents. So we have to, as parents, we have to ensure that we put something in place, have some sort of system, some sort of check, or check up on them somehow. And that is a challenge down for parents. That is a real challenge for parents. Yeah.
And I think that one of the best ways to be able to bridge that challenge.
George, hold on. George is sounding a little muffled. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's probably the reception. Let me try again. I think one of the ways that we can bridge that challenge just as well, this situation calls for a bit of honesty. And when I say honesty, this is what I mean. Parents are struggling as well with the transition. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they are not willing to let children know. Teachers are struggling as well, mind you. They're not willing to let the children know that this is something that we are all struggling through. And when the child feels that I'm in this alone, just a little bit of honesty, letting them know, well, this is challenging for me too, but we will get through it together. It can provide so much reinforcement for the child and so much energy for that child to become determined to make it together with you, together with the parent, together with the teacher, together with the principal, that at the end of the day, I think that little measure of honesty, sometimes that reality check to let children know, well, it's a challenge for me as well, but we are going to find a way. We are going to get through this together. That is going to be the difference maker in our schools right now. And we need to be able to exploit that to its fullest.
Yeah. And that actually leads me into, if I had to say I learned two things in the years of engaging with our youngsters, I have learned that the catalyst for change in the home is the child, and the catalyst for change in a society is the school. Let me say it again. The catalyst for change in the home, meaningful change in the home, is the child, and the catalyst for meaningful change in a society is the school. And when the system understands that, I think our education system will be much, much, much better. I mean, sometimes we push a subject at a child, but really and truly, we subject the child to our moods. When really and truly, we have to build the holistic child. When you have a child believing in themselves, I like when principals tell me, I say, this student is the worst student. I say, yeah, I want to talk with that student. When they say this one challenges the teachers and the system the most, I like that to talk with that student. And when you get to it, it's because nobody has a real relationship with the child. The child trust isn't there. And as you talk about trust, there must be honesty. And again, it comes back to saying, when we don't know, we need to say we don't know. This is a thing that didn't hit us. We didn't have to go through this in our lifetime. This was in 19. The last time they had this was in 19, whatever. But we can get through this. Let me tell somebody listening outside there is still hope. There is still hope. We are either part of the problem or part of the solution. And in whichever ways that we can, we have to offer hope. Find a way to get on to the teacher and say, teacher, I'm not sure how my child is doing online, but could you give my child a special shout out? All children like a little shout out. Could you give my child a little special attention in the class? Could you ask just see how my child is doing? I think my child would feel very special. And there the teacher and the child builds a relationship. The child is so excited now. Do you know that when I was online today, Miss asked me 3 questions and I got all 3 of them correct? Okay, maybe 2.5. Right, but I got them correct, and look, it makes a new opportunity. So this is not all doom and gloom. And I want it doesn't have to be a Donald Foucade or whoever. Somebody else can get up and say, listen, I'm going to see what I could do. Maybe you might have to just donate some tablets, whatever it is. I might have to donate some devices. When we're still here in this day and age, that students don't have a device and still trying to do a SPA on a phone, I think that's a very shameful thing for society. I don't want to point any fingers, but I think when a child is trying to do an SPA, no, that's a very sad thing.
Absolutely.
Anybody listening to me, but in a position of influence, and you're into corporate social responsibility, please, there's children still, find out from the principals, are there children outside there who don't have a device to be able to do their work? Let's donate 3 or 4 to a school. It makes a difference. It might be a large school with hundreds of students, but every 3 or 4, a little drop in the bucket, it makes a difference.
Thank you so much for saying that, because, I have that problem personally with one of my children not having a proper device. Applied to the ministry for one and still waiting. And I'm sure there are many, many children out there who are waiting on a device to just to feel a part. You know what it is to know that you have your own laptop, your own device, and I think that does a lot for the children rather than have to share or, and that sort of thing. Well, one of the other things I want to raise, we're going to open up the lines in a couple of minutes. For the parents, and I'm saying this because of personal experience. I know there are lots of children who may not want to put on their cameras because they don't want people to see inside their house and that sort of thing. And I think it's up to the parents to really do something to, you may not be able to redecorate your house or renovate your house but do something so that the child would not feel, I don't want this seen, I don't want this heard. And not only that, but we must remember as well, because today, I had to laugh. I'm laughing at myself because one of my sons warned me now. They're all in one room. All right, the three of them are in one room, and they're in school. And my son warned me. He said, "Daddy, don't forget the cameras on." And I forgot. And I was going to take a shower. Good thing I had on my towel around me because you think I was walking and I saw myself in a camera and I had to, right? And it might sound funny and simple, but we can embarrass our children and and do things to them that make them now not want. They have to concentrate on the classes, but they also have to concentrate on you, not walking in front of the camera or not shouting out or saying something behind the scenes when their mic is on and that sort of thing. So we have a responsibility too, as parents, to make it a little easier for our children, that experience, that online experience. We have a responsibility to make it a little easier for them by being conscious of where we are as well, not only where they are, but where we are, because even though it's our home, it has turned into a classroom or classrooms, and we have to remember that as well, not to embarrass our children. So it's 7:12 and a half. We want to open up the lines. You've been listening, folks, to the conversation, and you want to get in on it, you want to ask a question, you want to make a comment. Well, we want to give you an opportunity to do that. The number, now remember, only men are allowed to call in. These two numbers, 622-1981, 622-1981, and 628-1981. That's for the men to call in and make a comment, ask a questions. Ladies, you can interact with us by texting us. Not a voice note, a text message to 275-1981. 275-1981. Ladies, that's your number, man. 622-1981 and 628-1981. What are your thoughts based on what you've been hearing, and what has been your experience as well? Maybe you're a teacher out there and you want to share with us. Maybe you're a young man and you are going to school and you're having challenges or you have had an experience and you want to share with us. Please feel free to call 622-1981 and 628-1981. Those are the numbers for the males, the men, the young boys and ladies. 275-1981. That's our WhatsApp number if you want to share with us a thought or ask a question. And we are talking about where are they now? Where are our children now in this virtual world, in this virtual space? Where are they now? Where are they in their heads and their hearts? Where are they? We want to help our children. And we have Don Foucade today, and we also have George. So as we wait on our calls, Don, you can continue the discussion. Is there anything else you want to raise with us?
Yeah. Well, George, what is actually coming out as well too is that a lot of the kids, they don't have the computer knowledge. And this is a wonderful opportunity maybe for a parent to sit with the child and to learn about the computer. Because, for example, to get away from seeing you in your towel and so, you could have had a background. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right? you could have a background. Right? So really and truly, maybe to teach the kids how to put up a background on Zoom or whatever platform that they use. And all these things are very simple.
No, but I'll tell you something. Let me just butt in here a little bit. Some of the teachers don't want the children to have a background. I don't quite understand why. Because my children know more about Zoom and all these things more than me. So I can't really tell them anything. They know what to do. But I know one teacher in particular had told one of my sons that they don't want a background. I didn't really ask why. I thought maybe that was a standard thing. But I can't. I don't know if you would maybe be able to explain that, Don, or hazard a guess as to why that is so. But I actually heard it just say no background.
Well, it depends. You see what happened to when you say background and you open up the background, some of the backgrounds they put up, you really have to put in a rule, no background. So again, and a very simple solution to that, with a background is doing something with the school logo. Hello, it must represent the school logo. I know some schools tell the children, even how they dress, George, how they dress. They can dress in their uniform. Some schools still tell you wear your blouse or your shirt, or make it still fit or whatever, but where you're in school, dress the part.
Yeah.
Dress the part, dress properly. So maybe you can do a background, but using the school logo, maybe the school motto, the school tagline. Because you still want to be there. You put them in a fall and they have to watch the fall and the school motto and tagline and whatever. You can do that virtually as well too. Give the child as best as an experience, even though it's not an experience in person. But still make the child at home. You're having school at home. It's still school. No. And there's some teachers I see do it beautifully. There are rules to be followed. Hello, you can be suspended from the wrong action online. Yes. I love they instill discipline. I guess some schools no listening. There's no chatting. We block the chat, whatever. You pay attention to what is being said. You still have rules in life. Yes. So we have to find the list of. We don't have to drop our standards because we have a new mode of learning. We don't have to drop our standards. And remember, the kids are looking to us as an example. How are we handling this? As I tell people, not because the word pandemic, if you take out D and you have panic, we don't have to panic them in this pandemic. There's no need for panic. We have to get through this. We have to hold their hands and get through this carefully, easily. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Somebody's telling me here that they know about the slate. There was a thin black pencil to write on the slate. Yeah, but I really starting to feel real old now. Now that Don says he doesn't know about the slate, I am feeling. So let's forget the slate talk and move on. It's late. It's late. So let's forget about the slate. Right, folks. Don't forget you can call us 622-1981 and the 628-1981. That's for the men. 622-1981 and the 628-1981. Ladies, you could WhatsApp us at 275-1981. 275-1981. And Don, you said you've done a number of Zoom. I mean, based on what you said, is 60. You said in 2 months. That's like one a day.
There are two a day in some cases because there were holidays and weekends in that too.
Right. Yeah? But what did that do for you in terms of your your stress level and that sort of thing, having to deal with all of that?
Well, I think I added to my stress level in that not only did I do the Zooms, but I gave away a free copy of my first book for every child who would want it. Wow. So I had to spend the evening actually engaging with them. But what it did though is that the kids needed somebody to reach out to them. And I didn't mind to stand in the gap at all. Yes, it took a lot, family-wise and everything. But I didn't mind standing in the gap for these young people. That's all I was doing. Letting them know that there's somebody in this virtual space who was willing to understand what you're going through, to give you some resources to help you to cope, to expect a better future for you. You understand? And the kids respected it. Hello, we have a friend. We have Uncle Don. Whatever they want to call me. Right? They wouldn't call me Slate. They wouldn't call me Slate. No. But Uncle Don, whatever they want to call me, there's still something they can call me.
George, we're not going to live this down, boy. Oh, my goodness. Why did I don't know why I mentioned this.
I'm hiding my sleep behind my back all now.
I don't know why I mentioned it in the first place. Okay. Oh, yes, but don't tell me. The children, in fact, we have a call on the line, so let's take the call first. Hello, good evening, you're on the air. Hello? I know you're there, I can hear you, so if you can speak up a little louder. Hello? All right, could you try the other number, please? I'm not sure which number you tried, 622-1981 or 628. So whichever one you tried, try the other number and call back, please. Thank you. All right. Sometimes we get problems with the line. So try the other number. Whichever number you called, try the other one there. 622-1981 and 628-1981. Those are the numbers. So whichever one you tried before, please try the other number. I was
Professor,
about to.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, George.
I have a question to ask you. Brother Don, is there room in this conundrum for the church to fill in and take up capacity? Is there room for the church to, let's say we've been talking about the provision of devices for children, we're talking about the emotional needs of children. Is there room for the church to fit into this puzzle and create links and help out?
That is a fantastic question, because what comes to my mind immediately is that the content of what the kids are listening to, when they get into trouble online, they go into things and areas that they should not. So therefore, if the church were to stand up as well as part of it, whether it's through their virtual Sunday schools and so, but to stand up and give the children some coping skills, some scriptures, something to go on to. I know I just got a message there from a guidance officer, Peggy Primus down in Superior, and I know she's doing her bit. And what she has done, she's a guidance officer in the school system, but what she has done is actually do a little virtual setting for the youngsters in the area and actually give them some solid things, some solid word, maybe a scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, something that they could hold on to that makes a difference while we go through this year. So that's a fantastic comment. Yes, there's room for the church. I mean, all the churches now have a little AV room and that kind of thing and all that kind of tech, very techy. But yes, they need to, even with the youngsters. What about if they start with the youngsters in your church, in your own church? See where they are virtually. See what help you could give them, what they're not understanding. Maybe there are some people in the church who, with past teachers, who could help break down a subject. And it's very friendly. The parents are comfortable with this person online. So yes, the church certainly has a role, because there's a loss of values. When the kids don't value themselves, there's a loss of values. There's a loss of values. So certainly if the church, and the church should be the answer, in my opinion, the church is the answer to bring the values, then certainly there's value we can get from the church. Fantastic suggestion.
Indeed. Someone asked a question. I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer it, but I'll ask it anyway. Good day, gentlemen. Right now I'm having a battle with my nephew with 2 devices. He's telling me he has to use the 2, and my daughter, who knows about these things, is telling me no. So I don't know. I don't know if you can answer that question. Right? I have a son who is telling me the same thing to her. And he's the one without the devices. He's the one, the other 2 have laptops. He's using a teeny tablet. He was using a phone. The phone got damaged. He's using a little tablet, and he wants my phone as well. He said he has to use 2 devices, and I don't understand that one. All right, so the ladies having the same problem. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there who is a teacher or something, call us quickly. We don't have much more time. We're looking to wrap up now, and tell us, see if you have the answer to this question. But let me ask you this one, Don, as we are coming to a close. There are some children who are, as I said, they're out of the system now. They're out of the loop. They don't have devices. They may not have connectivity, Wi-Fi, and that sort of thing. Is there still hope for these children? And seeing that we don't know when this pandemic is going to end, we don't know when they're going to be back out to physical school. I'm talking about Form 1 to 3. Is there any hope for these children who have been left out of the system now? Is there anything that can be done for them?
Yeah, well, as long as there's life, there's hope. Let me say, first of all, as long as there's life, there's hope. Mm-hmm. And what it will mean is that whoever is able to needs to do what they can, even for a family member, to see you've dropped out of school. Let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about, because they dropped out for a particular reason. Maybe they feel left out. So we have to start and meet them where they are. So there is hope. There are many of them, hundreds, I'm told, hundreds that have just dropped out of the system. I hope the youngsters are not, teenage pregnancy may not go up. We don't know. We don't have the stats. But we have to find a way to reach them. And it comes back with the basic conversations. It comes back, the church has a part to play. Maybe the schools. I've challenged some teachers to reach out to students who they have not seen since the start of the pandemic. And some of them have, I must say, have taken up the challenge and have just, all they've done is contact the office. There must be a contact number. And you know how special it is a teacher has reached out to say, look, you know, Johnny, I'm not seeing Johnny online. I want to know how Johnny, Miss or Sir really cares about you. So we have to go a little deeper. So yes, there is hope, but we can't wait for the youngsters. We have to set the example. We can't just wait for the youngsters to decide to catch themselves all together, and then we have to go for them. We have to go and reach them. You know, there's somebody that could be, if this whole conversation was somebody would look at a neighbor and ask a child, hey, why are you not online? How can I help you? Maybe I can sponsor you that tablet. Maybe that can be my contribution towards your life. So yes, there is hope, Professor. There certainly is hope.
Thank you. And I'm glad you used that example because Johnny is my son, who's the one who's giving trouble right now. With the device and everything. And you're saying Johnny. So I hope Johnny's listening. Johnny, I hope you're listening. You're here. You heard. He was talking to you. I love my son, but he's giving some trouble, you know, in school, his teachers and things. Johnny, I don't want to embarrass you, but maybe it's a good thing that I'm talking about it now. We're looking to wrap up. And George, I'm going to give you an opportunity to just close off, and then we're going to have Don say final words, and we're going to wrap up.
Absolutely, Trinidad and Tobago. This has been gold that we've received this evening. And now the ball is in your court, Trinidad and Tobago. It is time for you to reach out as a neighbor, as a community, as a member of a family that knows of a child that is no longer in the school system. This is the opportunity for you to reach out and pull that child close to you and move forward with that child towards a future for that child. Take it by the horns and run with it, because the children are our future. We need them to be able to get past this and progress towards the goal that God has predestined for their life. Love you, Trinidad and Tobago. Have a beautiful Monday night.
Wonderful. And our special guest, Mr. Don Foucade. Closing words.
Sure, closing words. I'm just going to say this. It's not how we start, it's how we finish. Let me say again, it's not how we start, it's how we finish. And a rotten beginning doesn't have to be a rotten ending. Things may have started a bit, badly in terms of, a youngster making that switch successfully. But let me tell you, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. There's hope for you still. Reach out. If there's a youngster maybe listening by yourself right now, reach out to an adult, a trusted adult. Reach out to somebody that, somebody you trust, a responsible adult. Reach out and say, I need help. I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to be left behind. I want to be able to get my grades at the end of this, my CXC and my whatever, maybe my past SCA. I want to be able to go forward. And let me tell you, there are people like myself, there are people like Professor, there are people like George, who are there for you, who is going to be with you and wanting to hold your hand and let you know that you have value to God, you have value to Christ, and we believe in you. Don't give up. There's always hope.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And well said, because I know there are young people who be listening right now and who would have been thinking that, as you landed the line for me, I don't have what it takes to make it. And just to know that somebody cares, someone is saying to you today that, you can make it and there is hope for you. We do care about you. I think that is so, so vital and so important. And somebody listening today, is a future prime minister, future inventor, future something. If we lose them now, then we would lose our future. So it's good that we have people like, Don Foucade, who cares about, the children of our nation and is really doing so much, going, I'm sure, beyond the call of duty. And so is there any way, Don, if folks want to contact you, connect with you, is there a number or something, some sort of connection?
So certainly, what I'll do, I give my email address, donlafoucade@gmail.com, DonLafoucade@gmail.com, donlafoucade@gmail.com. Maybe you might just want to get a copy of the book. You listen to this program, you say, I listen to Men Talk. Listen to me. You listen to Men Talk. I want to get a copy of my book. Yes, you could get a copy of the book. donlafoucade@gmail.com, DonLafoucade@gmail.com. I'll send you the book.
Thank you so much,
No
Don.
slates available, though.
Yeah. I mean, no. And let me tell you, see, Professor has three the price of states.
Why, George? George, I don't believe you, George, come on, man. But, we're changing the name of the program next week to Men Walk because you said that we have to, we can't stick at Men Talk. So from next week, it's going to be Men Walk. Ben Walk, courtesy Don Foucade. Don, thank you so much, for guessing with us today. And we just wish you all of God's blessing as you continue to lift up the young people of this nation, not just young people, all the folks that you interact with, and that the lives that you speak into, may God continue to use you to speak into the lives of people. Blessings to you. Thanks for being our guest today.
Most welcome. Pleasure.
Folks, that's it for Men Talk for today. We want to say thank you so much for listening. Thank you to our guest, Don Foucade. Thank you to George. And, that's it for today. We'll be back again next week, Monday at the same time, 6:30, for another edition of Men Talk. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next week, but just to let you know that we are here. So, God bless you. That's it. My name is Noel Richards, a.k.a. The Professor. I'm still here with you, but it's the end of Men Talk for today. Good to see Anaya Tony. They say that men don't talk, but they are so wrong. Join me, Noel Professor Richards, and my co-host Huey Coffey every Monday at 6:30 p.m. for Men Talk. We talk about how to live, how to love, and how to lead. So join with us as we talk about everything that men talk about on Men Talk. Mondays, 6:30 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM, The Promise.
You can now see the Men Talk team live on Facebook at Isaac the Promise and YouTube on FBN TV. Sponsored by Dr. Anaya Tony, the Feet Lady at Anaya Health and Wellness Center. Call 360-5166 or 478-7416.
Hey, David, what you now, boy? How you looking sprightly so? Just the other day you complaining to me about back pain, chest pain, your foot swell up, circulation, all kind of thing. What you take for that, boy?
Jamal, boy, I went by the Feet Lady, and not just me. I carry the family too. Boy, the family I history arthritis, kidney problem, diabetes, circulation, acid reflux. You call all of them just now. I had a pinched nerve too, and a cousin with lupus. And boy, the Feet Lady help you with all of that. And Naya Tony, boy, she's no joke. She even helping you if you had a stroke. Call she today, boy. Don't make joke.
Call Anaya Tony, the Feet Lady of Reflexology today at 478-7416.